Hi, and welcome back to my series on the Cranmer Abacus for blind and visually impaired learners. So in this video, I'm going to share with you two concepts. One is the correct hand and finger position, and the other one is understanding place values. And these two are very essential in learning how to use the Cranmer Abacus. So firstly, we can use both hands. We need to use both hands in manipulating the abacus. But of course, we mostly used our right hand. And in the case of our fingers, we use the two fingers, these two fingers, which are the thumb and the index finger. So both hands, we can use our thumbs and also our index fingers. So let me demonstrate it to you. So when we set a bead, now the word set, which I will also be sharing in the succeeding videos, or the procedure of setting and clearing, these are two procedures that can be done with the use of our two fingers, the thumb and the index finger. So when we say set, we move a bead toward the separation bar or near the separation bar. So when we set a bead in the lower abacus or in the earth portion of our abacus, we make use of our thumb, particularly the right thumb. So in this case, I'm going to set one bead. So I'm moving one bead closer or two toward the separation bar. So I'm using my thumb. So that will be on the first rod, the rightmost rod. So I'm using my thumb. If I continue to move beads towards the separation bar, I still use my thumb. So that's it. I'm moving 3 beads right now. And since I have 4, I'm going to move the last bead in the rightmost rod. So moving these beads, moving the beads in the lower abacus would require us to use our thumb. So same for the second rod. I can move the beads by using my right thumb. Okay, I'm on the third rod right now, and I'm just using my right thumb. On the other hand, if I am going to move the bead on the upper abacus or on the heaven abacus, heaven part, I'm going to use my index finger, particularly my right index finger. So on the first rod from the right, I'm going to move the bead, or let me just use the word set. I'm going to set the bead, this one bead on the upper abacus. I'm going to use my right index finger. Same with the second bead, the bead on the second rod, I'm going to use my right index finger. On the third rod, I'm going to use my right index finger. Now, resetting or moving these beads back to their original position would require us, in the lower abacus, we make use of our index finger. So I can just move this back, all these beads, using my right index fingers. I'm just using my right index fingers. So I'm resetting the beads in the lower abacus, and for the upper abacus, I can make use of my right thumb. But as I said earlier, I can also make use of, say, my left hand, particularly my right, that should be my left thumb and my left index finger. If I'm going to set or move beads across multiple rods. So kung marami na talaga akong sineset, so I I set 2 beads on the fourth rod, so I'm going to use my left thumb. Okay, and if I set I set 1 bead on the upper abacus on the fourth rod, I can make use of my left index finger. Now I'm emphasizing this because using the correct fingers in either moving the beads towards the separation bar, or what we call as in setting, and also in clearing, if we use the correct fingers, we can avoid what we call mistakes or errors, no, in doing, in manipulating, and in performing procedures, operations on this abacus. So now I'm going to reset, or I'm going to clear using the using my right thumb and right index finger. So that's for the use of correct finger and hand position. Now, let me proceed to the second concept that I'm going to share with you, and that is the concept of place values. Now, if we have a number, say the number is 123, I'm going to write 1, 2, 3. Now, in this number, we have three digits, 1, 2, and 3. Now, each digit represents a specific position, which we call as the place value. So the 3, which is the rightmost digit, represents the ones or the units place value. Moving to the left, the 2 represents the tens place value, and the first digit or the leftmost digit, which is 1, represents the hundreds place value. Now, on our abacus, we can teach this to our children by letting them move beads from the rightmost rod going to the left. So the rightmost rod represents the ones place value. So any bead here, or any number of beads here that are being set, would just be on the ones place value. So their value is just on the ones place value. Again, their value is determined by their position, which is the ones place value. Now, similarly, going to the left, next is the tens place value. Now, if I move a bead here, this one bead here on the second rod, each bead is, particularly on the lower abacus, on the earth part, each bead is equal to 10, or has a value of 10. So if I move one bead, that is, the value is 10. If I move 2 beads, the value is 10, 20, that should be 20. If I move 4 beads, the value therefore is 40. Now on the third rod, going to the left, the third rod from the right to going left, this rod represents the hundreds place value. So if I move one bead to the separation bar, I set that bead corresponds to 100. So it's no longer just 1, but it's 100. If I set 3, that would be 300. And if I set all, that would be 400, all in the lower abacus. Now for the upper abacus, the bead here represents, as I said in the previous video, is 5. The value is 5. But since I'm on the third rod, that would be 500. Now going to the fourth rod, this would be thousands place. So if I move one bead, that would be 1,000. If I move 2 beads to the separation bar, that would be 2,000. If I move all 4 beads in the lower abacus, these 4 represent 4,000. And On the fifth rod, this would be 10,000 for each bead in the lower abacus. So that would be 10,000, 20, 30, and 40,000 all in the lower abacus. And if I move the bead in the upper, that would be 50,000. And here on the sixth rod, this would be 100,000 place value. So one bead is 100,000. And three beads represent 300,000, and the four beads in the lower abacus represent 400,000. And the single bead on the upper abacus would be 500,000. And lastly, I'm just going to stop here, would be the millions place value. So one bead on the lower abacus represents 1 million. So if I have 3, that would be 3 million. I have 4, that would be 4 million. And on the upper abacus, the single bead here represents 5 million. And now, I hope you got something from this demonstration. It's time to reset all the beads, or we call it also as clearing. So I'm going to reset all. So thank you for watching as I'm resetting this. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos on this series on the Cranmer Abacus. God bless us, and thank you.